How's it going, everybody? Welcome back in. JT here on behalf of the Ethfinance Community on Reddit, and thanks again to the EVMavericks here on Discord for hosting yet another happy hour for this day. This is happy hour episode number 75. Give us a thumbs up, smash a bell if you haven't already, share out the podcast, and hopefully you too will be on the show one of these weeks. So I usually have this intro that I'm going to read, but I'm going to skip that. I'm going to get right into it. Get everybody a little bit of taste of what's going on in my world. So I'm going to have to not. I'm not going to be able to do the live stream at 2 p.m. Eastern for the foreseeable future. I've taken a substitute teaching position for a fellow teacher that has had some health issues, and I want to make sure that their classroom is covered by at least a veteran music teacher. So it's kind of an honor to get back into the classroom, I left teaching about 3 years ago, so it's kind of interesting to get back in there and see the kids. These are all kids that I had when they were this tall, and now they're this tall. And so middle school and high school band and choir has been my jam. And I don't want that to delay our ability to do the live stream. I'm just not going to be able to do it at a regular, consistent interval. But I want to make sure that we give all of our due diligence to the people who end up on the weekly list, and to try my very best to keep this chain unbroken for the foreseeable future. So with that, we're going to jump right into it. This is our rich list for the week. We've got Ethical Trade at 86, Hanny Abu at 87, Scientist at 90, Hour Aug at 94, Crypto Currency at 100. Crypto Currency has broken into the 100 range. This is awesome. Set One Less at 103, Tricky Troll at 115, Benito's at 135, Logri the Bard at 144, climbing up still, and Super Fizz atop the leaderboard at 211. All right, let's head on over to our morning roundup. We've got Hey Chibi chiming in. Ethereum, self-made millionaire at 26.51 on the price, and I actually think we're moving on up a little bit this afternoon in the United States time zones. And Frank the Tank at 0.0438 on the ratio. Our weekly haiku, courtesy of JS Tears. Ether atmosphere, validators stand to steer. No trust paint to smear. How does he do it, J.S. Tears? How do you do it? And Clam Chota says it's Chota time. ETH, take my energy. Boy, it certainly feels like we got some energy coming through. And our ship post of the week comes to us by way of user 15K is FUD. The ETH price getting you down? Want to channel your inner Reno 007? Post about it here in the daily of my new sub, ETHWinance. Actually joined this sub. I think I was like the 58th person to join this sub. They are up to 83 subscribers. We should probably add this metric. A-word should probably add the ETHWinance subscribers metric. And the troll comments in here are so hilarious. But ETHWinance is a place to go cry about the price. We love it. So far we got Bob Rossi says, if this post gets 100 upvotes, I'll sell all my ETH. Challenge accepted. Psych. I do it for one upvote. This token is trash. Oh, Bob Rossi, you freaking animal. I love you. Very good. That is an incredible shit post of the week. That might be the shit post of 2024. We've got a whole new subreddit to wine in, guys. ETHWinance. All right, here we go. Right down the list. User ETH2353 has the latest on Ethereum consensus timing games. User ETH2353, I want to go look at their Doot score, see where they're at on this chart. They are a Dooter number 17. If you're a home staker and we're wondering why you're missing more head votes than a few years ago, at least part of the blame seems to be on Kiln, one of the largest Ethereum staking node operators. Tony from the EF posted a new article yesterday on attestations, block propagation, and timing games. Kiln seems to have been pushing, quote, timing games to the very limit. quote, delaying block proposals to the 3 to 3.5 second mark within the slot. Blocks are supposed to be published 0 seconds into the slot. Publishing 1 to 1.5 seconds into the slot is still considered okay for various reasons, but 3 to 3.5 seconds is really pushing it, since the attestation deadline is at 4 seconds into the slot. Before that deadline, the block needs to be propagated globally over the peer-to-peer network and fully processed by the nodes, and that gets quite difficult or impossible when the block is proposed 3.5 seconds into the slot. And there's some other quotes from the article. Let's see. So there's more information here. There's a full post on Ether research. So thank you, user ETH2353. User Hsuki reminds us to stay on our toes. User Hsuki is a duder number 19. Be wary when joining crypto projects from unknown people. A notable Moon Donut farmer was a victim of a spearphishing social engineering attack. Zoomer XBT on X.com. The attacker convinced the victim to check out the project to see if the victim would be interested in joining the team to create NFTs for it. The executable for the supposed game project turned out to be a remote access tool. Oh my gosh. Yeah, watch those executables from randos, people. Awesome. Hsuki, great reminder. User Dr. ETH educates us on wallet security. You can never get enough of these posts. I have him at a Duder 24 level. Also tagged him as a security writer, so listen up. I was going to reply to this in the chain of comments of the case that Moon Donut Farmer, which user Hsuki posted, that was targeted and drained. But I will make this as a top-level comment for more visibility. Windows itself is a riskier system to use and was mentioned as an attack vector in the thread. However, it is fair to say that there are several red flags here from the info I get from this chain of comments. And it's that bullet number 1, never use hot wallets for any significant amounts of money. Never run unknown software. Be skeptical of crypto jobs, which are a significant vector of attack for scammers. Be skeptical of anything passed to you through Telegram, as Telegram, despite being an excellent piece of software, also makes it extremely easy to wipe the chat. Likely doesn't pursue scams beyond simple bans. If you absolutely need to open software or a document, use a virtual machine. This person ran that binary to condom on in his machine. Binary no condom in his machine. Gaming projects are especially prone to be represented by scammers, as they often require installing software. So this should immediately be a red flag. Treat random messages as scams outright in any platform from anyone. Probably, I'm going to add to this, even from people you may know. That could be impersonators. Making sure to take extra care and question absolutely every single thing the person tells you, often assuming it's false and with the intent to scam you, especially if your wallets are out in the open and public, or you're a well-known farmer, social media person, community manager, or member, and have a valuable doxed wallet, or if your email or personal details have been in any data breaches. For data breach related things, I suggest checking out haveibeenpwned.com, which has several tools to check, which are well known in the privacy community. Also consider using tools and taking measures recommended by privacyguides.org. And then he links to an article that he wrote. This is so good information. Gosh, look at this article that he wrote. Amazing. He wrote this in 2022. Dr. ETH is a goat, man. This is so good. Let me get back to it. He wrote the article about this on my website, which I posted on here a while ago. I learned a lot about networking and other things since I wrote this, so some things might be slightly off, but if you want to check it out, feel free. More importantly, though, I highly recommend software isolation, which is the most important measure to take. Minimize your surface area for attack. Run unknown and potentially risky to use software in virtual machines. Isolate your crypto activity. Avoid using hot wallets. For more technical folk and programmers in this community or those interested, you should also learn to use smart contract testing software like Brownie, Foundry, Hardhat to automate transactions and use hot wallets in a programmatic way. Though when learning to use these, always use testnets first to try. Learning to use software like this and learning smart contract programming languages like Solidity, Viper, or others will absolutely help you in navigating the space in a much more careful way. And once again, that is Dr. ETH. Amazing. User Haunted Jockstrap. What is this username? User Haunted Jockstrap88 is convinced that ETH's fundamental advantages will play out in time. Haunted Jockstrap88 is a duder number 14. Wow, fantastic. Let's see what he's got. Besides, quote, everyone and God hates us, I've yet to see a good reason why the fundamental advantages of ETH won't play out in price over the next 12 to 18 months. ETH is the only smart contract platform that has the institutional regulatory green light. Oh, I did read this. ETH is inflating minimally, deflating forever since the merge in 4844. Compare ETH versus Sol. ETH is the only smart contract platform that has a record of liveness that is acceptable for global settlement. Level 2 scaling is a wild success and is up only. L2 usage is up only. If smart contracts blockchain is a transformative technology, there really is no competitor to ETH. BTC doesn't do anything. Sure, it might be a good investment since enough people think it's neat, but it doesn't mean it's in competition with ETH. The only reason I see ETH failing is if blockchain itself is rendered useless by some other unforeseen technology. But otherwise, the instantaneous settlement, immutability, and resilience of a decentralized smart contract platform like ETH offers enough advantages over the legacy system that it can't not be adopted. And if a decentralized smart contract platform is adopted, it will be ETH. Regulatory clarity in the U.S. is coming. Continued scalability increases are coming. Widespread stablecoin payments are coming. Institutional adoption has started. DeFi use will be up only. People are worried over 5 months of bad PA for ETH, the asset, and I agree it has sucked. But the narrative follows price. Don't let the bad PA make you think the ETH fundamentals have changed. Thank you, user Haunted Jockstrap88. What a banger. User Smidge explains why the new easy peasy crypto ETF is actually good for Europe. User Smidge is a duder number 4. Oh man, they've been around forever too. Good. This has been mentioned yesterday. I think the easy peasy ETF might be very interesting for European users. An ETF holding only one asset is prohibited in Europe, EU, as far as I know. That's why the current ETFs are not available to buy. Maybe someone more knowledgeable can elaborate further, but as far as I know, you need a basket of assets to get an ETF approved in Europe. Let's hope the minimum is 2. And then there's a link to the decrypt.co article about the Franklin Templeton filing their ETF. Users, you know what? I cannot, this is just me making commentary. I cannot believe, like, it would not surprise me if the easy peasy meme was born out of ETH Trader. It's too coincidental. I just can't think that it just generically came out. Boy, wouldn't that be a story. 696 ETH recaps the week for the EVMavericks. 696 ETH is up on the leaderboard at number 11. Duder number 84. Banger. This guy. He's doing some stuff. All right. So he's doing an EVMavericks weekly recap, it looks like. And he's also making some art, and he's doing social media stuff. I think the EVMavericks, he's getting hired out of the multi-sig to help spread the the gospel of the lion's mane. A catch up on the week's worth of mostly Discord content. Get some inside scoop and feel our vibes. For all the details, visit our Discord. Number one, some EVMavericks were onboarded to participate in Octant's rounds and help select various projects, thus contributing to public goods indirectly. Number two, our farmers discuss what's hot, what's cold. Orderly TGE is on the 26th. D-Bridge and Tari and Hyperliquid. Number three, our quality chat is filled with talks about stocks and gold, what's underrated and why. Number four, DGen chat is not so DGen nowadays. Discussions revolve around forms of money and the difference between real money and memes. And from Twitter land, Bat shows his bullishness on ETH by referencing Ratio Gang website, which is built by our very own Inside the Simulation. We see a few nice sales as 930.eth picks up those cool looking lions. Our meme coining thread has been the most active. Lots of discussions, but notably some juicy alpha, including coins and polymarket bets. While don't be fooled that's all green and rosy, it definitely gets red at times. But here are some calls of the week. A 5X by R. Snoofy by WTF. I'm not sure what this is. By Pop by ETH. I'm not sure what this is. Okay, good. Thank you, 696 ETH, for the recap off of Discord. I'm going to take a drink of water real quick. I've been singing and yelling at kids all day, so my voice is a little shot. I'm not yelling at anybody, by the way. I'm joking. User Merkle Chainsaw brainstorms a possible way to fight MEV, and Crypto Currency builds off this by drawing parallels to email. This is a pretty long thread. I'll summarize here. Would it be possible to defeat MEV with no protocol changes with smarter wallets? Number one, validators could choose to flag that they will avoid MEV and randomized transaction order in their block. Number two, their adherence could be observed by third parties and wallet providers to create a list of validators using and not using MEV. Because proposers, number three, because proposers are known ahead of time, wallets could give users a toggle to transact either on a first available block or wait for first available MEV free block. Getting a MEV free validator wouldn't be guaranteed, but it could be targeted. Number four, assuming a critical mass of validators goes MEV free and enough users toggle to attempt MEV free transactions, they could see a higher share of fee revenue to make up for lost MEV. Besides the chicken and egg problem here, a problem I see with this idea is that if the MEV free validators captured a larger share of DeFi transaction fees, this could be offset by regular validators getting a larger share of simple token transactions, since their blocks would otherwise be emptier. Also, for any really big MEV opportunities, it would be worth it for any validator to just take the MEV, exit the pool, and re-enter with a new identity. If we could find solutions to these problems, it feels a lot cleaner to me than some of the currently proposed solutions, like builder separation. Crypto Currency responds. Crypto Currency is a Deuter 100. It's a long reply, but to me, he says, to me, this feels like the email reputation problem all over again. In the early days of the internet, I like this. This is like history lesson. Pull a seat up, my boy. In the early days of the internet, anybody's computer could directly send an email to an email server and it would get delivered. Then as email became widespread, the concept of spam email arose. So email service providers, ESPs, started tracking reputation by IP address, which is what they do to this day. Each ESP keeps a small rotation of clean IP addresses to send mail from, and they work hard to make sure nobody uses them to send spam so that their IP reputation stays clean. And each ESP keeps a list of block lists that contain tons of low reputation IPs from which they auto-delete all incoming emails. This result is a system where, yes, technically speaking, you can send an email directly, but it's largely impossible from a residential internet connection since they block the outgoing port, the SMTP, to prevent spam. And it's largely impossible from a web host or VPS too, because the chances are that whatever IP you get, someone else has already sent spam and ruined its email reputation if the web host doesn't outright block the SMTP port. So it's a technically open system where the only way you can send an email in practice is to hand your email off to an ESP like Gmail or Yahoo or iCloud or specialized, quote, email hosting, unquote, products for delivery. Trust me, email servers suck balls to maintain. It's a lot of writing block list maintainers to try to get off their lists. Maintainers who only expect emails from email hosting companies. And the software is far less streamlined than web hosting software since nobody hosts email servers anymore. It's a full-time job. All that is to say, if there's one or more independent parties certifying whether validators are MEV free, the end game is that it turns into another whack-a-mole reputation management scheme, just like email. And I don't want running a validator to suck balls like running an email server does. All right. And then he goes on. He's responding to what to do about entering and re-entering the pool. He says you have to track the reputation somehow, and there are limited ways of doing so. You could track them by IP, which runs into the aforementioned issues and makes clean IP addresses expensive. Or you could track the coins themselves, which just mean that every ETH on-chain has a hidden reputation value, which makes clean ETH more expensive. I believe the answer is it fundamentally cannot be done in a fair way within the latest production version of the Ethereum protocol. So there you go, crypto currency. What a conversation. Drawing parallels between MEV and email server issues. Fantastic. User Hour Aug educates us on staking with the RISC-V chip architecture. Hour Aug is a duder number 94, creeping on up the list. Welcome into Discord, everybody. Good to see you. Welcome to our online viewers on the YouTubes. I'm going to take a drink of water again. Okay, here we go. Hour Aug. Warning. Very geeky hardware topic ahead. Again, this is about the RISC-V chip architecture. In the last few weeks, I have worked on running Ethereum nodes. There's got to be a better way to say this word. RISC-V is one of the more modern CPU architectures besides the well-known x86 that most PCs use, and ARM, which is Apple and cell phones. RISC-V started being developed around 2010, got published around 2014. Only in the last few years, the basic parts got standardized, and they are still active in development to standardize some of the extensions. One big difference is that anyone can design and build CPUs on this standard, and many companies actually do. This is in contrast to x86 processors, where only 3 companies have a license to actually design and build them: Intel, AMD, and VIA Technologies. For ARM CPUs, anyone who buys a license from ARM Holdings can design and build ARM CPUs. Let's see. But the licenses can be very strict. For example, ARM Holdings is currently trying to force Qualcomm to destroy all ARM-based Windows laptops due to licensing dispute. Our RISC-V is open, which means anyone can design and build processors following the standard without having to pay anyone anything or following any strict licensing rules. All right. I'm going to pause just for a second. I'm going to edit this. I'll edit this podcast, but I've got an emergency phone call I have to get to. I'm going to go on mute. I'll stay on the live stream just for a second. All right. So Let's see. ARM-based risky is open disadvantage, blah, blah, blah. Okay. The disadvantages. Okay. RISC-V is the most open CPU architecture we have. The disadvantage is that all very new, and therefore the currently available processors are not the most powerful ones. But the progress in just the last 5 years is quite amazing. Back then, one could only get the most minimal boards, which pretty much could only read some inputs and do some basic calculations and control an output. There was no support to run any operating system on these boards. Linux support was pretty much non-existent. Today, we can get boards which easily run full Linux distributions. Even Ubuntu supports some boards directly. And about every 9 months, a new iteration of ever more powerful boards hits the market. The driver for this development is the openness. Companies know that no one can take their licenses away, and this gives them security to develop RISC-V based CPUs. I know I'm butchering how that's supposed to be sounding, but I don't care. This open competition will probably enable more people to get access to affordable and powerful enough hardware to run an Ethereum node. To get there, however, the node clients themselves will have to be optimized for this hardware platform as well. Okay. At the moment, we have 4 different boards to test our stuff on. These are the High 5 Unmatched, the Vision 5.2, the Lychee Pi 4a, and the Banana Pi F3. All of these are at most barely powerful enough to actually run a full node. Nevertheless, we have managed to fully and reliably sync the Sepolia testnet on the Banana Pi. That's awesome. And we even managed to sync mainnet with Lighthouse, but only for brief periods of time until it lost sync again. And then it was behind the head for about 1 to 3 hours until it regained sync again. We even overclocked our board, which slightly improved the sync reliability, but not by much. Looks like the current iteration of boards is a good basis to test nodes and get the clients ready, but we need at least one more iteration to be able to run nodes reliably. In parallel, my colleague tries to incorporate as many improvements as necessary into ETH so that prospective node operators will have a very convenient way to spin up a node on these boards. It is still a very rocky road ahead, but I am pretty sure that when actually powerful enough received boards will hit the market in 1 to 3 years or so, a good selection of clients will be ready to run on them. There you go, Hour Aug. Rock and roll, man. Nice. All right. And I got to get going here pretty soon because I'm wall to wall today. Bob Rossi reminds us of the purpose of EIP 1559. It's a little complicated because EIP 1559 served multiple purposes, and the burn achieved multiple goals. You can read all about it in the GitHub of the EIP. It's short and really digestible, I promise. In short, the burn was absolutely a stated part of monetary policy, to the point I'd argue it was past a nice side effect. Honestly, a fairly elegant solution, in my opinion. And if you remember the narratives around BTC versus ETH at the time of its launch, issuance inflation rates were a very hot topic. I think where the disconnect came from was people misunderstood that it was an amplifier, not a driver of price action, meaning that in the event we saw a period of relatively little crypto demand combined with low fees, the burn wouldn't be as impactful, which we sort of unfortunately saw post-launch. All right. And he quotes the messaging about the EIP in there. And finally, for this week, Tricky Troll covers the pragmatic approach to privacy, which many apathetic people may miss. Tricky Troll writes, I just thought I'd share a snippet I shared just now in yesterday's daily about why the defeatist attitude to privacy around, oh, they have my data anyway, is actually completely missing the point of privacy. It's not about going off the grid. It's about reducing your attack surface. And if you hold crypto, then reducing your data footprint is not paranoia. It's prudence. One of the key things outsiders miss about the privacy community is the concept of the threat model. Who are you trying to hide your data from? Most people can't hide from three-letter agencies without hugely inconveniencing their daily life, but that's okay because there are some legal protections to stop some degree of government abuse. For example, police need to get warrants to search your home, etc. But if you post all of your life details to social media, then police can just buy your data. They don't need to search your home. If they could just buy info from tech companies, stalkers and $5 wrench attackers can do the same. And hackers have way more places to steal your info from, making you more prone to phishing, burglary, and much, much more. Basically, there are some super simple steps to make sure your digital footprint so much smaller. Things like de-Googling, using uBlock Origin and Firefox for browsing, avoiding cloud services in favor of physical backups or your own servers, and not owning a car made after the mid-2010s, which collects and sells location and conversational data. Some car companies reserve the right to sell your sexual data. I'm not kidding. It's right there in their terms and conditions. These things don't take much effort for the tech savvy people, and it gets 80 to 90% of your data off the marketplace and out of the easy reach of government agencies beyond the most powerful ones, which you don't really need to worry about if you're not a terrorist. And with that, we're going to wrap it up today. Thank you so much for subscribing to the podcast, hanging out with us. I see we got some friends over here on Discord. We did a little pop-up live stream today. Just a reminder, I took on a substitute teaching position, so I'm going to have to do some ninja launches of the live stream. We're not going to be able to do the dedicated 2 p.m. Eastern, but it might make for an interesting time doing it a little bit later on Friday or maybe even on Saturdays. So if you guys want to stick around on Discord, that's great. I got to go pick up my kids, and I'm going to head on out. So on behalf of Ethfinance and the EVMavericks DAO, my name is JT. Cheers and big hugs from Kansas City. Right on, party people. Thanks for joining. I got to run. I wish I could stick around. I wish I had about freaking 6 beers up here, man. I'm been wall to wall. It's music teacher got cancer, so I'm doing a long-term sub position. I haven't been in the classroom in 3 years, but you know what the hell, let's go do the right thing, take care of each other. I'll talk to you guys later. Cheers.